Mini Jake, the tribe has spoken.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Aw, fuck you too, sweetie.
I'm JJ, one of the original Tribe of Nerds members. You can catch me on Marvel, Pokemon, and other gaming podcasts.
What up? It's Josh, resident superhero nerd, but I also dabble in the occasional super villain as well.
Some may know me as the Chaos Gremlin, but really I'm just Joe King.
Pikachu, use Volt Tackle! Good job, Pikachu!
On the Tribe of Nerds. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Shane and I are back for Survivor What If, pondering the question in this vast Survivor multiverse. What would happen if you changed one thing in Survivor history? This week we're talking about Survivor Vanuatu, the Islands of Fire. And we know Chris Daugherty didn't have the greatest start. He couldn't cross a balance beam. And we're going to talk about what if he was the first boot? What if the older guys were so pissed off that Chris failed them that they turned on him, and our winner is gone immediately.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because I feel like of all the winners, this is the craziest one to think of, like that from episode 1, like that guy won. Like even like I watch this with my dad all the time, and he's very casual, he doesn't remember a lot of the people, but you're like, oh yeah, remember the season where the guy couldn't do the balance beam and he won? He's like, oh yeah. Like that guy should not have won, but he actually should have because he played really well. But let's imagine that they actually vote him out and he doesn't win. This gets interesting, I think. So I feel like in the real timeline, we got this divide on that Lepevi tribe with the older guys, the younger guys, and the younger guys obviously lose out. That's not going to happen anymore. So Chris is going to go. The younger guys are going to take control. I assume they're going to take control because I think that divide's going to happen anyway.
Right.
Very likely it's possible like Lepevi could win more immunity challenges, but let's just assume they win the same amount. So Chris goes instead of Brooke, and I believe instead of John P, we're probably losing Rory.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Yeah, he was pissing off Sarge. He was pissing off the younger guys. Like, they wanted to get rid of him. And it's that double elimination because they do win the next one because Sarge is the caller, and it's like the blindfolded challenge and everything. And so then you get to this double elimination. And so regardless, the guys are forced to vote somebody out. So it's definitely Rory at that point. And then the guys do lose the next immunity, and that's where Brady was originally going to go, and now it's probably Chad because I would think Bubba is too well liked and Sarge is like the guy that's like their leader, and so Sarge is definitely staying too.
Yeah, I agree with that. And potentially they win the challenge now, not having Rory, not having Chris, but yeah. Then we get to the swap. So when we get to the swap, I think here's where some things are going to change. I think we're definitely going to go in with more guys probably towards the merge. So we lose on Yasser, we lose Bubba because we had Bubba and Rory. So now instead of Rory, let's replace him with who he replaced with John P. So we'll have John P and Bubba. So yeah, Bubba probably still goes.
Yeah.
There.
Well, who's he trying to send a message to this time? Chris is going
right. Probably Sarge.
Yeah, he's trying to send a message to Sarge. Think of the merge.
Yeah. And then we lose Lisa Kiefer. We'll still lose Lisa Kiefer. And then on Lepevi, normally we lose John K. We're not losing John K here. We're probably having the guys stick together, and we're probably, so it's either Twyla or Julie. My guess is Julie.
Yeah, I think Twyla's bonded with Sarge pretty well, and Sarge is able to like dictate, hey, we're not voting out Twyla, we're getting rid of Julie here. So, and the young guys have the power. Now they could completely destroy Sarge's trust and vote Twyla anyway, but I think with these young guys, I think they look up to Sarge a little bit, so they'd probably listen to him.
Right. I agree with that. Which means we go into the merge at 5-5, which is quite interesting. What I think happens here is I do think the guys are going to stay very tight. The girls are going to stay very tight since like that's what happened on the swap tribes. I think we're going to get a Rox scenario, but it's not going to go to Rox because Amy is very likely going to pull some strings and get someone to flip. Because I think they're going to first have to really work Twyla because they're going to be afraid Twyla's going to flip to the guys. So they're going to pull her back in successfully. And then I think they're going to work someone else. Like it might be Sarge if they have a bond with her or with Sarge and Twyla, and like the guys are all the younger guys and he's really the only older one left. I could see getting Sarge to flip, and they're probably going to vote out. Would they vote out John K as like the leader of it?
I mean, I think they're gonna see Brooke or John P maybe as the leaders. I think John K. I don't think anybody saw him as a threat. I thought I saw somewhere that like Chris had said that the reason they kept John K around like the longest of the young guys was because John was like not really into it, which is interesting because I know he does the thing at the double boot where he like gets the girls to divide themselves, which actually was surprising when then I hear Chris be like, oh, John had no idea what was going on. So it was like, I don't know if those two necessarily match up, but I feel like people aren't going to take John K seriously, and maybe that's what it is. They just don't take him seriously. So I think it's John P or Brooke.
I can see that. Or yeah, even Brady.
It could be Brady too, yeah.
But yeah, I think one of them goes, and then I think they're going to start picking off the guys. I think that if that move does happen, like Amy's all-star status skyrockets. Like if she pulls that off, like it's a really crafty move on her part. And in the real timeline, the girls start to get picked off because Chris can really maneuver himself in there. That's not happening anymore. And I don't know that any of the guys can successfully do what Chris did.
No, I think Chris was one of a kind in terms of that level of maneuvering and manipulation. I also don't see. I think the most strategic of the guys could have been Brooke. Because he was a huge fan, and that's the reason why he got taken out first, is because everybody saw him as like the strategic leader of that alliance. So I feel like Brooke's the only one potentially, but obviously he wasn't able to maneuver in the real timeline past the first round. So I really don't see any of these guys maneuvering it.
Yeah. So I think the guys will get picked off, and I think the last two will be Sarge and maybe John K.
Yeah.
And then if one of them wins immunity and can get a few spots further than what they would, sure. The one possibility is if Twyla, Scout pull in Sarge to try to flip on some of the girls. If they're just going to get picked off, and maybe Sarge gets farther than he should.
Yeah, I think Twyla and Scout are still going to try that like they did in the real timeline. Because I don't think that they were ever going to consider going once they knew that they were on the bottom of the women. Do I think, but one thing I will say as well is that without Chris there, we don't have the moment with Chris and his partner Lori, where she is the reason that they feel bad for Chris because she is like frantically, trying to help Chris win that challenge.
Right.
And so without that there, I don't think Amy's feelings, I don't think her and Leanne, all of a sudden stop playing the game as aggressively as they're going. I think they keep going along. They don't take a break and maybe try to shoot at Eliza. I don't think that happens. So I think in this timeline, I think it's Amy or Leanne. I think Amy probably gets the credit and wins. I mean, there's been stories of like Leanne was the real mastermind. I've heard that out there, but how the edit presented it to us, Amy's the Ice Queen and she's the leader. And I do think, in my opinion, I think Amy wins that. So
Yeah, I think Amy would win. Who do we think she's sitting with? Like, do you think she would go with Leanne to the final two?
I do think she probably still takes Leanne. I could see Leanne if she tries. Maybe she tries to strain. Oh wait, Julie's gone. Never mind. I'm thinking because she had a relationship with Julie, but no, at this point, I think Leanne and Amy do go to the end together. I mean, they don't. I don't think Leanne has any other options at this point. I think
the only wrinkle is if Sarge or John Kay goes on an immunity run.
Yeah. That I
could see John Kay pulling off like 5 immunity wins, maybe, but
yeah,
but I could see it.
I could see it too. But I'm not sure.
Even if he gets to the final two with like Amy, I don't think he wins the game.
No, John Kay is not being able to convince. I don't think he's able to convince a jury that he should win the $1 million. Like, I think the only argument he has is I'm a mechanical bull operator. Like,
yeah.
That's an interesting thing to discuss in the Vanuatu recap. I think that's what we have. I mean, do you have anything else for the Vanuatu what if, Shane?
No, I think Amy is very likely the winner, which means she will not be on Micronesia. But I do think she would be in consideration, at least for heroes and villains.
I do agree with that. I think.
Would she kick off Sandra, though? Because, like, whose spot would she take?
I'm trying to think, honestly. I mean, I could see them maybe.
She would take like the Parvati spot, but
yeah, she would be like a Parvati type player. I could see them just to like have maybe like, okay, maybe we do have Parvati there and Sandra still. Maybe we put her in Danielle's place.
Yeah, if they want to add another winner. If not, then Amy's not there because there's no way they would cut Parvati from that.
No, they loved Parvati. So I don't know, and I don't know who would be an Amy spot in Micronesia. That's an interesting thing too.
Leanne maybe,
I guess, would be the only option I can really think of. But all right, well, that's the Vanuatu what if. So stay tuned. Go watch our full review of the season on Survivor 1 through 50. And we'll be back next week with more Survivor What If on the Tribe of Nerds.